We're always told to get more vitamins and minerals. But what if I told you that for some of the most essential elements in your body, more isn't just unnecessary, it's actually dangerous? Today, we're going to explore what I call the body's Goldilocks elements, where you can't have too little or too much. You need an amount that's just right. I mean, think about it for a second. How can something be absolutely essential for life and at the same time a potential poison? It sounds like a paradox, right? Well, that's the core question we're digging into, and the answer, it turns out, lies in a really delicate balance. So, the substances at the very heart of this puzzle are called trace elements, and you shouldn't let the name fool you. While we only need tiny amounts, we're talking milligrams per day, they are the microscopic levers that control huge functions in our bodies. Seriously, without them, the whole system can just grind to a halt. All right, let's kick things off with our first case study, and it's probably the most famous trace element of all, iron. The best way to think about iron, it's your body's internal oxygen delivery service, a role that is absolutely non-negotiable for survival. To get a little more specific, iron actually forms the core of hemoglobin in your blood and myoglobin in your muscles. These are like specialized little taxis that literally grab onto oxygen in your lungs and drive it to every single cell that needs it. And this is where we see the two extremes of the iron tightrope. If you stray too far to one side, you've got a deficiency, which leads to a really debilitating form of anemia. But stray to the other, and you get a toxic overload that can cause severe damage to your organs. Okay, so on the deficiency side, we have this condition with a very long name, hypochromic microcytic anemia. But all that technical jargon really means is that your red blood cells become too small and too pale to carry enough oxygen. And the result? Just a persistent, crushing exhaustion. Now, on the toxicity side, you've got hemochromatosis. This is where the body just loses its ability to regulate iron, leading to a dangerous buildup. It's often a genetic thing where this essential mineral literally becomes a poison to your organs. And what's so crucial to understand is that the just right amount isn't one size fits all. It's a moving target. As you can see here, our needs can vary dramatically. A sedentary man might need about 17 milligrams a day. A sedentary woman, a little more, around 21. But a pregnant woman, her needs can more than double, jumping to 35 milligrams. But hey, iron isn't the only element walking this tightrope. Let's take a look at two other critical cogs in our biological machine where balance is absolutely everything: copper and iodine. Copper is pretty fascinating. It's a key part of so many vital enzymes, but it also has this incredibly close partnership with iron. You can kind of think of them as a team. You can't really have one working properly without the other. And this is where their teamwork becomes so important. See, if you're deficient in copper, your body can't use iron properly. This means you can actually develop anemia that won't get better even if you take iron supplements. On the flip side, too much copper is immediately toxic, causing things like nausea and dizziness. And just like with iron, there's a serious hereditary condition tied to copper toxicity. It's called Wilson's disease. This is where the body just can't clear out excess copper, and that leads to a damaging buildup in the brain and liver. Next up, we've got iodine. Its main gig? To help create thyroid hormones. And you can think of these hormones as the master switch for your body's entire metabolism and its rate of growth. It's a huge job. Iodine might just be the ultimate example of the Goldilocks principle. Because here's the really bizarre part. Too little iodine makes the thyroid glands swell up, creating something called a goiter. But get this, too much iodine can cause the exact same thing. So a goiter is that visible enlargement of the thyroid gland you can sometimes see in the neck. It's basically the body's physical distress signal, a super clear sign that its iodine supply is dangerously out of whack. And the consequences of this imbalance, especially during pregnancy, well, they can be devastating. A severe iodine deficiency in a mother can lead to something called cretinism in her child, a condition causing permanent, severe impairment of both physical and mental development. This is exactly why maintaining iodine balance is such a critical global public health concern. All right, our final element is one that builds us up, quite literally. Fluoride acts as a kind of structural engineer for our bones and teeth. But as we're about to see, finding the perfect balance with this one is particularly tricky. So here's the fine line with fluoride. A deficiency is linked to more cavities and weaker bones, but an excess leads to something called fluorosis, where teeth can become mottled and bones can actually thicken and become damaged. So, given these incredibly fine lines between helpful and harmful, how in the world do we stay in that perfect Goldilocks zone? Well, it really comes down to two things: knowing your sources and respecting the limits. For iron, a varied diet is key. Animal products like liver give us heme iron, which our bodies absorb really easily. Then you've got plant sources like beans and spinach that offer non-heme iron. And for copper, you're going to find that in foods like legumes, whole grains, and seafood. You'll find iodine in things like seafood, as well as in dairy, meat, and eggs. Now, fluoride is the real outlier here. For most of us, our main source isn't food at all, it's our drinking water. And the concentration in that water can vary dramatically from one place to another. To help us stay safe, health organizations have established what they call tolerable upper intake levels, or TULs for short. The best way to think of a TUL is as a scientifically backed safety ceiling. It's the maximum amount you can consume daily without running the risk of it becoming toxic. Ultimately, this all brings us back to a core principle of toxicology. It isn't that these elements are inherently good or bad. It's simpler than that. For these powerful minerals, the dose makes the poison. The right amount sustains life, the wrong amount causes harm. Which leaves us all with a final, pretty personal question to reflect on. When it comes to your own health and nutrition, are you in your Goldilocks zone?